During the second day of the general sessions of the 24th UNHRC Council sessions, views were expressed on the need for an international investigation into the human rights situation in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka's intolerance of dissent and continued failure to ensure justice in even the most publicized cases illustrates that insufficient action is being taken to end impunity and protect human rights. Authorities have made scant progress in implementing promised reforms or ending impunity. Serious human rights violations remain ubiquitous in Sri Lanka. Officials continue to threaten and harass critics. We urge this Council to respond to the High Commissioner's concern. International investigation.
Meanwhile, addressing an interactive dialogue on children and the armed conflict, Sri Lanka Deputy Permanent Representative to the UN in Geneva, Manisha Gunasekara, shared these views.
As a country that has grappled with the menace of terrorism and forced conscription of thousands of children by the LTTE, Sri Lanka is acutely conscious of the grave psychosocial repercussions of armed conflict on children. The policy of the government in the reconciliation process was to treat all children formerly associated with armed groups primarily as victims and not as offenders, and hence not to subject them to legal proceedings but to rehabilitation. We would be happy to share our experience and best practices on the subject.
An argument broke out between a group of people and officials attached to the Sivin Pavilion, a boutique hotel in Vadwa.
Now, according to a senior police officer in the area, he said that the altercation was a result of a dispute between the shareholders of the hotel.
Acting police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rahuna said that security has been beefed up around the hotel premises. The argument had broken out between a group that owns 30% of shares of the hotel and the group that owns the remaining shares. Who owns 30% of shares of this hotel? And who are the remaining shareholders?
Getting back to local news, now a decision has been made to fell 1,478 tree species, including kubuk trees located in and around the Kaudulla Canal, in order to address issues of flash floods.
Officials who observed the flooding that took place in the Madaragiri area recently concluded that one of the primary causes of flooding is a 25-kilometer-long canal which transports water to the Mahavel River being clogged up with plants. The Polonnaruwa District Secretary had decided to remove the trees located within the canal. Officials of the Irrigation Department along with officials from the divisional secretariats of Lankapura and Madaragiri took steps to mark down the trees that blocked the canal. The State Timber Corporation was instructed to uproot these trees. Although orders were issued to uproot these trees, the trees are currently being felled. This is a racket. People from Polonnaruwa have come here and are cutting down these trees. The banks of our paddy fields are being completely destroyed. We do not know who is responsible. We do not know if state officials are aware of this destruction or are they simply ignoring it. When inquired about the matter, manager of the State Timber Corporation in Minneriya, Sisira Ekanayaka, noted that only trees which have been marked by the divisional secretariats are being felled.
Risk of valuable flora being destroyed. Sandalwood being illegally felled in Ambalantota. 11 persons arrested in connection to major sandalwood racket in Velimada. Police STF seized 13,499 kilograms of the Vallapata plant that were to be exported illegally. Civil Defence Force personnel cut down kumbuk trees in Araganville and Nidanvala, bordering the Madruoya National Reserve. Reminder.
The Association of Dependents of Police Veterans staged a protest march this afternoon, citing that they have been unjustly treated.
A protest was held citing several demands. The protesters engaged in march towards the presidential secretariat from the Sambodhi area in a bid to hand over a letter with their demands. We are now afforded an opportunity to meet with the President. However, we were given an opportunity to meet with Meda Abemulla. She requested a period of 2 weeks to discuss the matter with the President. So, we decided to remain patient for 2 weeks.
Now, Winston Churchill, who led Britain through World War II, is regarded as one of the best and the greatest wartime leaders of the 20th century.
He is the only British Prime Minister to have received the Nobel Prize in Literature and was also the first British citizen to be made an honorary citizen of the United States.
Now, on Words of Wisdom tonight, we listen to the thoughts expressed by him.
Kites rise highest against the wind, not with it. Sir Winston Churchill, former British Prime Minister.
First up on Biz First tonight, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka says that the northern and eastern provinces had shown the highest economic growth for 2012.
Now, this was indicated in the latest data released by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka on provincial gross domestic product.
According to the data, the Western Province provided the highest contribution to the GDP in 2012. However, in line with the recent trends, the Western Province share of the PGDP had declined further to 43.4% from 44.2% in 2011. In 2012, the highest nominal GDP growth rate was observed in the Northern Province, with improved contribution to the national GDP from construction, financial services, transportation, paddy and fish production sectors. In 2011, the Northern Province had contributed to the national GDP by 3.7%, which had risen to 4% in 2012. According to the data released by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the Eastern Province recorded the second highest growth in the GDP, with an increase in its GDP share to 6.3% in 2012 from 5.8% in 2011. The third highest growth rate was observed in the Southern Province. The GDP share of the Central, North Central, Uva and Sabaragamuwa provinces remained unchanged in 2012. The nominal growth rate of the Northwestern Province decelerated and its share had declined, mainly due to poor performance in certain sectors.
Getting back to more local news now, JVP Politburo member Anukumar Dissanayake made the following comments at a public rally held yesterday.
Conflicting opinions are being expressed by the Minister of Science and Technology and the Minister of Health. The people are waiting until a green light is given on the milk that is safe to consume. If there was a responsible government, their role would have been to tell the country on the safe milk powder products and tell the country not to consume the rest. They created a fear psychosis in the country. The government on various instances provided different kinds of candy for the people to chew. That's how this country needs to be governed. There needs to be a stable plan in this country.
ethanol chewing gum එකක් දෙනවා. හපනවා විසු කරනවා. අපි රටේ ජනතාවට කියන්න ආවේ. ඒ විදියට නෙවෙයි මේ රටේ ප්‍රශ්න විසඳිය යුත්තේ. ඒවා පිළිබඳ ස්ථිර සලස්මක් වැඩපිළිවෙලක් තිබිය යුතුයි.
Meanwhile, addressing an event, Venerable Ulapane Sumangalathera had this to say.
දේශීයයි නම ඉදිරිපත් කරගෙන
we see this as an attempt by a group of individuals who call themselves patriots and are engaged in conspiracies. The people of this country has a right to consume clean and poison-free food. Today this right has been taken away. We would like to commend the efforts taken by some media institutions for portraying the truth and understanding the situation. Individuals and politicians who spoke of being patriots have now hid the lion flag inside their homes and are looking at it. Hence we commend the efforts taken by Sirasa for intervening in this matter.
මේ කාරණාව පිළිබඳව මැදිහත් කටයුතු කිරීම පිළිබඳව අපේ ප්‍රණාමයේ ආයතනයට මේ මොහොතේ පළ කර සිටිනවා.
With that, we wrap up Prime Time News. I'm Stephanie Lazarus.
For the News First team, I'm Ravishika Bandara. Good night.
News First at 9.
Hotline
0114 896 896.